Okay. Yes, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press, and by extension, the entire Ghanaian public. After a long day in court, the justices of the Supreme Court have had to adjourn the proceedings of today to Monday, the 1st of February 2021, to enable second respondents team play a video which was annexed to the witness statement. You all saw the proceedings in court through the morning to this afternoon. We started by the second respondent objecting to offending paragraphs statement of Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, on whose ticket the petitioner John Mahama stood as his presidential candidate to contest the December 7, 2020 elections. Out of 10 offending paragraphs, the court graciously admitted 3 of the paragraphs to remain, and 7 of the offending paragraphs were removed in part, but 1 of them was totally expunged from the witness statement. Pertinent to state that 1 of the offending paragraphs related to the pedestrian allegation of Asiedu Nketia in his witness statement that the chairperson of the Electoral Commission has a familial relationship with Her Excellency the First Lady of the Republic, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. We all witnessed the strenuous and tedious submissions by petitioners' lead counsel to answer to the objections which had been raised to portions of the witness statement. It was a repetition after repetition, which prompted lead counsel for second respondent, who could not bear it any longer, to remind the court of the petitions, of the repetitions. When Mr. Johnson Asiedu Nketia took to the witness box, he remained largely evasive. Every question that was posed, his immediate response is that I do not speak for the petitioner. This is someone who, in paragraph 2 of his witness statement, has stated clearly that he was in court to end or lend aid to the petition filed by a petitioner. How can you come to court as a witness for a party, and when you are asked questions in court, your response is that I don't speak for the petitioner? Then why are you in that court? Why are you then in the court? He thinks he can be as elusive and invasive as he was in 2013. This time around, he will not be lucky. Now, it is very instructive to let all Ghanaians know that the one person who filed the petition, which is John Mahama, has refused, failed, or neglected to sign onto a witness statement. As we address you this afternoon, the petitioner himself has no witness statement before the court. This is a petitioner who seeks to have the elections annulled and is praying for a rerun. This same person is refusing to come and give evidence in court. The judgment is with the Ghanaian public, not mine. When Johnson Asiedu Nketia went all about town, he said one thing, which is poignant. When he was posed a question by a lawyer for first respondent, his response was that we are in court to challenge the conduct and constitutional duty of first respondent. We are not in court to challenge the elections. I mean, that is Johnson Asiedu Nketia's own statement, not mine. We are in court to challenge the conduct and constitutional duty of first respondent, not the elections. So this is where we are. As I always do, I will allow you to ask questions, if any.
First question.
Exhibit E.
And then the 16 has the 13 they signed.
Yeah.
The 3 they didn't sign.
Yeah.
Can you repeat your question again?
In court, the test for every witness in court is the witness's credibility. So you realize that when we went on and on and on, the final leg of the submission was that we want to attack the credibility of the witness. And it was at that point that the court was minded to grant the application for a play of that video. Now, the relevance, to you it might not be relevant, but the relevance is that these are persons who, after or during the course of the elections, had proclaimed to Ghanaians. In fact, the presidential candidate himself, John Mahama, the General Secretary, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the Deputy General Secretary, Utokuno, the Director of Elections, evasive, and their communication officer, Sami Jemfi, had proclaimed to the whole and the world that their presidential candidate had won the presidential elections and they had secured, some were saying 140 seats in parliament, others were saying 141, others were mentioning that they were not even sure. And when they proclaimed that they had won the presidential elections, they gave you percentages. Don't pretend as if you didn't hear. They gave percentages. And some of them were calling the presidential candidate president-elect. I think I recall, Sami Jemfi, the communication officer, referred to Mahama as the president-elect. Some of them even urged him to form a parallel government. Now when they are being invited to the police, it's another story. They advised him to run a parallel government because they had won the elections. Now, these are the same self people who now, when come to court, cannot even tell how many votes they garnered and are asking for a rerun. Does that sit well with you? And you think it sits well with Ghanaians? No. But you see, I must point out also, the exhibit that Asiedu Nketia was confronted with was their own exhibit. The exhibit E. It was their own exhibit. In his testimony, they failed to sign on to regions where it was abundantly clear that the petitioner had won elections there. Their agents in the strong room decided to take a long jump when they realized that the results proved unfavorable in their cause. That is my answer. Have you read paragraph 2 of his witness statement? Maybe if you read paragraph 2 closely, on Monday when I come, we can have that engagement. But when somebody says that the petitioner stood on the ticket of the National Democratic Congress to contest the elections, and I, the General Secretary, the Chief Executive Officer of the party, I am swearing to a witness statement to give evidence in support of the petition filed by the petitioner. Would you still want to maintain your question?
Well, I just want a difference to know the difference between when someone says, I am not the petitioner and I do not speak for the petitioner.
A witness only corroborates the case of the party. You don't become a witness in court because you have sprung up from somewhere, maybe from Mountain Kilimanjaro. You become a witness because there is a necessary party in the case. John Mahama has not donated a power of attorney to anyone to speak on his behalf. It is Johnson Asiedu Nketia and Dr. Kwesa White who are coming to speak as witnesses. And they all state that they are speaking in support of the petition. So you cannot come to court and lend aid to a petition, and when you are asked questions in court, you say, I am not a petitioner. So what are you? Are they aware of someone?
Okay, thank you very much.
I would end, as I always do. If you have nothing to say about another person, whether that thing is useful or beneficial, then please do not say anything at all. Because if you invariably say what you want to say, you will prompt the other person to also say something or respond in a way or manner that may or may not just otherwise be pleasant to you. Let's all be guided by fidelity to the truth and don't bear false testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. But chief for the trying lawyer upon now on cases here. Lawyer.
Okay. Yo, me born the tougher. Near Ohoni say, Emre Musa the Asemuba Kota. Ese ensem no ni nyina pese court no agitumu no odi ni nyina beto court no maybe sade ayechi ni se odi assemble ba na chire no obesisa wano obroni se obe surprise other party no enti yempe ni sa eni ti obehwe a owura Mahama de assembly ba court no ensem bi wo ho a okan nenso owura Asiedu Nketia de ne witness statement ni ba no ensem ni bi wo na Mr. Mahama na ankasa aye ni case no wan fan hye Nekobasa na enye so surprise yen ye won chen no nko an emom ukrampo ye ma osi ya me ye twam sisi efi se ade emrachi eni so obi di na asem aba na ni witness ɛne n'agye ho akyi ɛfiri sɛ ne witness ne ka no ɛyɛ soronko ɛfi nea nipa n'agye sɛ ɔde asɛm no baeɛ no ɛka nti twa koro atwa mu sesei na ɛyɛ ɛfiri sɛ nkiewie case ne yɛtwerɛ addresses a nkebi nsɛm a ɛbɛka wɔ mmara kwan so no ɛbɛma asɛm no koro ɛbɛtwa mu ntam nti megye sɛ ɛyɛ sɛ ɔmoda yɛ ase yɛaboa wɔm saa bere na nea ɛwɔ hɔ biom ne sɛ sɛnea nsɛm ne kɔɔ so ne no wobɛhu sɛ nsɛmbusa no ɛba ɛno deɛ sɛbi mu nyinaa mo wɔ kɔɔto hɔ muhu sɛnea no yie ne kɔɔ yɛnwie nti yɛntimi nka nkɔsi aseɛ bebree nanso baabi a yɛdu ne sɛ nsɛmbusa ne baeɛ sɛ ɛyɛ mberɛ a yɛto aba no wieeɛ no panimfoɔ bi a ɛwɔ ndc mu ɛna mr mahama nkasa former president ɔmo kaeɛ sɛ aba no deɛ owura mahama ɛna awie ni mia me nua kuma mekyia no sisi asa me gyamfi nso kan bi sɛ president elect na akɔ no yie nanso na nipa bebree ɛhwɛ ne mu sɛ nka owura mahama de case ba supreme court no ɔbɛka sɛ yɛntwa abatuo no owura Akufo-Addo awie ni na mmom owura no mahama no na awie ni na nka yɛnka sɛ supreme court ɛnkansi so sɛnea 2013 na Akufo-Addo de ba court no nso ɛkɔyɛ nwanwa sɛ ɔmo ba court no owura mahama sɛ wanwi ni na mmom owura Akufo-Addo nso anwi ni nti no ɛba ne saa deɛ a yɛnkɔto aba no ma ɔmo mienu nyina na gum ne akuadɔnkɔm nyina yɛmfa ɔmo nsi nkyɛn nti ɛhɔ ne yɛgyina sesei nti wode to nsɛm a sɛbi ɔno a ne na pamfo ɛkaeɛ a ɛma supporters bebree ni gyeeɛ ɛne baabi a nka ɛsɛ sɛ ɔtumi ka si so sɛ ampa mewini ɛna bi a yɛwia me na wantumi amɛka sɛ mpo yɛwia no na wanso wantumi amɛka sɛ me na mewini yɛ ne yɛbu mebu kata no ɛno ne ma nkurɔfoɔ bebree adwemu yɛ ɔmo na kakra nti ebi adwoada yɛbɔ video no anaa tape no a mo nyinaa mbɛhwɛ bi atie bi na sɛ bi mo nyinaa mo yɛ badwen ma na mo atumi de mo ani ne mo aso nyinaa bu baabi a ɛgyina no no tie dɛm ase